was a cold winter night, and I was camping with my friends in the woods. We'd set up our tents near a lake, and we were enjoying the fire and the marshmallows. We decided to tell each other scary stories to spice up the mood. I volunteered to go first, and I told them a story about a serial killer who stalked campers in the woods. He would wear a mask made of human skin, and he would use a machete to slash his victims. He would also leave a note on their bodies saying, "I am watching you." My friends were visibly creeped out by my story, and they asked me where I got the idea from. I told them I had read it online, and that it was based on a true story. I said that the killer was never caught, and that he could still be out there looking for his next prey. They laughed nervously and said that I was just trying to scare them. They said that there was no way that such a killer existed, and that we were perfectly safe in our campsite. They said that they would not let my story ruin their fun, and that they wanted to hear another story. I agreed, and I asked who wanted to go next. No one volunteered, so I picked one of my friends at random. I pointed at him and said, "You're next." He nodded and he started to tell his story. He said that his story was about a ghost that haunted the lake. He said that the ghost was a young girl who drowned in the lake, and that she would appear to anyone who went near the water. He said that she would drag them into the lake and drown them too. He said that he had seen her once when he was fishing with his dad. He said that he saw her face under the water and that she smiled at him. He said that he felt a cold hand grab his ankle and that he screamed. He said that his dad pulled him out of the water and that they ran away. He said that he never went back to the lake and that he was afraid of the ghost. He said that he hoped that she would not come for him tonight and that he wished we had picked a different spot to camp. We were all silent and we looked at the lake. It was dark and still, and we could not see anything under the surface. We wondered if the ghost was real and if she was watching us. We decided to end the storytelling session, and we said that we should go to sleep. We put out the fire and we went to our tents. We zipped up our sleeping bags and we tried to forget the stories we had heard. I closed my eyes and I tried to fall asleep, but I could not. I was too scared. I kept thinking about the killer and the ghost, and I wondered if they were nearby. I wondered if they would come for me. I heard a noise outside my tent and I froze. It sounded like footsteps. I held my breath and I listened. The footsteps came closer and they stopped right next to my tent. I felt a cold sweat on my forehead and I prayed that it was one of my friends. I heard a voice and I recognized it. It was the voice of the friend who told the story about the ghost. He whispered, "Are you awake?" I felt a surge of relief and I whispered back, "Yes, I am. What's wrong?" He whispered, "I need to tell you something. Something important." I whispered, "What is it?" He whispered, "I lied. I did not see the ghost in the lake. I saw something else. Something worse." I whispered, "What did you see?" He whispered, "I saw him. The killer. He was wearing a mask made of human skin, and he had a machete in his hand. He was watching us. He was watching you." I felt a chill run down my spine, and I whispered, "What are you talking about? How do you know?" He whispered, "Because I am him. I am the killer, and I am watching you." I screamed, and I tried to unzip my sleeping bag, but it was too late. He slashed the tent with his machete and he stabbed me in the chest. He left a note on my body saying, "I am watching you." He laughed and he moved on to the next tent. He whispered, "You're next." We were a group of 6 friends, and we decided to go camping in the mountains for the weekend. We had heard rumors that the place was haunted, but we did not believe them. We thought it would be fun to explore the wilderness and enjoy the nature. We arrived at the campsite on Friday evening, and we set up our tents near a stream. We cooked some food and we played some games. We had a good time and we did not notice anything strange. We went to sleep around midnight, and we looked forward to the next day. The next morning, we woke up to a beautiful sunrise. We had breakfast, and we decided to go hiking. We packed our backpacks and we left our tents. We followed a trail that led us to a higher altitude. We admired the scenery and we took some pictures. We did not see anyone else on the way, and we felt like we had the whole mountain to ourselves. We reached a clearing, and we saw a cabin. It looked old and abandoned, and it had a sign that said, "Keep out." We were curious, and we decided to check it out. We ignored the sign, and we approached the cabin. We tried the door, and we found it unlocked. We opened it, and we entered the cabin. The cabin was dark and dusty, and it smelled like rot. We saw some furniture and some tools. We also saw some animal skulls and some bones. We wondered who lived there and what they did. We felt a chill in the air, and we heard a creaking sound. We turned around and we saw the door slam shut. We tried to open it, but it was locked. We panicked and we shouted for help, but no one heard us. We looked for another way out, and we found a window. We tried to break it, but it was too strong. We looked outside, and we saw a figure. It was a man, and he was wearing a hooded cloak. He had a rifle in his hand, and he had a grin on his face. He pointed the rifle at us, and he pulled the trigger. We heard a loud bang, and we felt a sharp pain. We fell to the floor, and we saw blood. He had shot us. He laughed, and he walked away. He left a note on the window saying, "Welcome to my hunting ground." He was the hunter, and we were his prey. We did not know who he was or why he did this. We did not know how long he had been living in the cabin or how many people he had killed. We did not know if he had any accomplices or if he was working alone. We did not know if he would come back or if he would leave us to die. We did not know anything except that we were in trouble. We were bleeding and we were losing consciousness. We were scared and we were sorry. We wished we had never come to this place. We wished we had listened to the rumors. We wished we had stayed away from the cabin. We tried to call our other friends, but we had no signal. We tried to crawl to the door, but we had no strength. We tried to stay awake, but we had no hope. We closed our eyes and we waited for the end. We hoped that it would be quick and painless. We hoped that our friends would find us and that they would be safe. We hoped that someone would catch him and that he would pay for his crimes. We hoped, but we knew it was too late. We were his victims, and he was our killer. And he was watching us.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you like the horror sounds, please make sure to subscribe and see you in the next
I'd always loved camping ever since I was a kid. There was something about being in nature, surrounded by the sounds of animals and the stars in the sky, that made me feel alive. That's why I agreed to join my co-workers for a camping trip in the mountains. It was supposed to be a team-building exercise, a way to bond with each other and have some fun. We drove for hours until we reached a secluded spot near a lake. We pitched our tents, lit a fire, and cooked some hot dogs and marshmallows. We told jokes, stories, and secrets. We laughed, drank, and sang. It was a great night. But then things took a dark turn. It started with a scream. One of my co-workers, Lisa, had gone to the lake to wash her face. She came running back, pale and trembling, saying that she saw something in the water. Something big, dark, and slimy. Something with tentacles. We thought she was joking, or maybe drunk. We tried to calm her down, but she was hysterical. She insisted that we pack up and leave, that we were in danger. We told her to relax, that it was probably just a fish, or a log, or a shadow. We told her to go to her tent and get some sleep. She refused. She said she wouldn't stay here another minute. She grabbed her backpack and ran to the car. We watched her go, shaking our heads. We decided to ignore her and continue with our night. We thought she was overreacting. We were wrong. A few minutes later, we heard another scream. This time, it was from the car. We looked over and saw Lisa's face pressed against the window, her eyes wide with terror. She was banging on the glass, trying to get out. But the doors were locked, and the keys were in her backpack. We ran to the car, trying to help her. But before we could reach her, we saw something emerge from the lake. Something big, dark, and slimy. Something with tentacles. It wrapped its tentacles around the car, lifting it off the ground.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
We heard Lisa scream one last time before the car was dragged into the water. We stood there, frozen, unable to believe what we had just witnessed. We realized too late that we were not alone, that we were not welcome, that we had made a terrible mistake. We turned to run, but it was too late. The tentacles reached for us, grabbing us one by one. We screamed, we fought, we prayed, but it was useless. We were doomed. We never made it out of the woods. We never saw the light of day again. We became its prey.